Hey crafty friends, welcome to day 23 of our Vlogmas Sewing Challenge and welcome back to my channel, your favorite corner of the internet where we turn flat fabrics into fabulous creations. Today we're diving into a project that is as functional as it is chic, and this is a sleek tech sleeve. It's perfect for keeping your gadgets safe, whether it's your laptop, your tablet, your Kindle, or even your phone. It's flat, compact, and trust me, it's like a cozy blanket for your tech, except it's less fuzzy and a whole lot sleeker. Now, before we get started, let me tell you why this project is so amazing. It's totally customizable, meaning that you can choose your fabric, closure style, and size based on your gadget. Secondly, it's beginner friendly but looks so professional, the point that your friends would think you bought it at a fancy store. Thirdly, it's a great stash buster. So use those scraps you've been hoarding. Don't worry, I'm not judging. I've got my own fabric stash that could cover an entire football field. All right, let's get our supplies together. But before we start, I need to take you through some calculations. This is where we calculate the perfect dimensions for your text sleeve. Don't worry, I'll walk you right through it. Start by grabbing your gadgets. I'm making this for my trusty laptop here. We are going to measure three things: the height, the width, and the depth. My laptop measures 13 and a quarter inches in height, 9 inches in width, and 3/4 of an inch in depth. Now we're going to calculate the fabric dimensions based on the dimensions of our laptop. So here is the formula. The height of your fabric equals the height of your gadget multiplied by 2 plus the depth of your gadget plus 6 inches, while the width of your fabric equals the width of your gadget plus the depth of your gadget plus 1.5 inches. All this information will be on your screen for easy reference. You're going to need a closure of your choice: clamp snaps, magnetic snaps, button and loop, anything works. A fabric marker, a ruler, a measuring tape, some clips, and to make your life easier, double-sided tape. All right, measurements and supplies done. It's time to now sew. First, we're going to be tapering the top edges of our main body pieces by about 2.5 inches. So this is it. For your exterior and your lining pieces, you're going to cut them according to the measurements, that's the calculation that I explained earlier. Then for the fusible fleece, you're going to, that's if you would need fusible fleece or foam. I used foam actually to make my sleeve more cushioned. So if you're going to be using fusible fleece or foam and you don't want it to get to the edges of your fabric, you're going to be subtracting 1 inch from both the height and the width. So my fabric pieces measure 33.25 inches high by 11.25 inches wide. So for my foam, I measured 32.25 inches high by 11.25 inches, sorry, 10.25 inches wide. So you're going to be subtracting 1 inch from both the height and the width. Then we're going to now taper the edges. So for the exterior and the lining pieces, you're going to taper the top edges by 2.5 inches. Then for the fleece or the foam, you're going to taper the top edges by 2 inches. So you're measuring 2 inches from the top down, or 2.5 for the exterior and lining, and from the side you're measuring 2.5 inches for the exterior and lining, and then 2 inches for the fleece or the foam. So this is going to just help with the shape of the flap, and it gives it a polished look. So this part that we're doing is actually for the flap. You would see how that goes very soon. Then when you're done tapering the fleece or your foam, you are going to be fusing this to the wrong side of your exterior fabric. Trust me, this step is just like giving your sleeve a hug from the inside. For my lining, I fused with medium weight interfacing. I used SF101. But just use anyone that is available to you at the moment. Now I'm fusing my foam to the wrong side of my exterior. So as soon as this is done, we're going to be placing the exterior and the lining pieces right side together. So I'm making sure my foam is well fused so that I don't get any bulging from anywhere. So now that everything lays nice and flat, just like I mentioned earlier, we're going to place the exterior and lining pieces right sides facing each other. Next, we're going to be clipping or pinning them in place. So if you're using fabric, you might want to consider pinning this in place. But if you're using vinyl or leather or cork like I'm using right now, please clip in place. When you're done clipping in place, you're going to take this to your sewing machine to stitch at about three eighths of an inch from the edge. But make sure you leave about a 10-inch gap on one side for turning the sleeve later. So you notice that I'm leaving this on the on one side of my sleeve. Make sure it's wide enough, for you to be able to turn the sleeve in the end. When you're stitching, make sure you backstitch at the start and end to secure those seams. No one likes a loose thread situation. Now we're back from the sewing machine, and I've gone ahead to stitch this sleeve or these pieces together. Now you're going to be folding the seam allowance for the fabric side. So for my lining, I'm using cotton. So for my fabric side, I'm just going to fold in, and then I'm going to press with a hot iron. But for my vinyl side, like I always do, I'm going to apply double-sided tape on the wrong side of the exterior. That's just below the seam allowance, and then I'm going to remove the backing of the double-sided tape and fold the seam allowance towards the double-sided tape. So once that is done, we'll get to the fun part, which is turning the sleeve right side out. So in a case where you're using another kind of closure, you notice that I'll be using the plastic snap closure. So because I'm using my plastic snap closure, I do not need to do anything at this point. I would install the snaps after this has been turned out, and I'm almost, in fact, practically at the end. But if you're using magnetic snaps or Velcro, you might want to consider, installing this, like, even before you place both pieces right sides together. So if you would only carry on the way I'm carrying on if you're using plastic snaps. Any other snap closure, try and just consider what works best for you. So like I said I was going to be folding the seam allowance. After folding, I went ahead to trim the seam allowance to about a quarter of an inch to reduce bulk in the seams. Make sure you're using a very sharp scissors and ensure you do not cut into your seams. Also, do not trim the sewing allowance around the area that you left the gap to turn the sleeve. So now you're going to turn the sleeve right side out by reaching in through that 10-inch gap or whatever inch gap you left and slowly pull the fabric through. It's just like you're birthing a bag. Sorry, did I say a bag? It's almost like you're birthing a baby. It's satisfying, but and slightly awkward. But in the end, it's it's worth it. So once this sleeve is right side out, you're going to use your a blunt tool to poke out corners so that everything stays nice and crisp. I used the blunt part of my scissors to do this. As soon as this is done, you might want to use a hot iron to press the fabric parts of this sleeve. And for the vinyl parts, you might just use your fingers to make sure everything is nice. As soon as this is done, you're going to close that gap with a top stitch, just the gap alone. Now we are going to fold our sleeve. But before folding our sleeve, make sure you top stitch the bottom, that's the straight edge of the sleeve. So once that is done, you're going to be measuring 4 inches from the top of your sleeve. So that means 4 inches from the tapered edge of your sleeve, like measuring 4 inches down. And just make sure you mark, where the 4 inches, you measured it. Then you're now going to be folding the bottom edge of your sleeve to meet the 4-inch mark. As soon as you're done, you're going to be clipping the edges of this fold. And then you're going to take this to your sewing machine to top stitch at about a quarter of an inch from the edge. So you're top stitching the sides and the tapered top edge. Now it's time to install our closure. As you can see, I'm trying, the laptop I measured earlier. This, I just put that inside the sleeve and it just fits snug and tight. Okay, so for closures, I decided to put the laptop inside so that I can get the perfect position for my closures. Like I said, I'm using plastic snaps. So if you're using magnetic snaps, make sure you install them before even turning the sleeve at all. For Velcro, you're going to stitch the soft side, which is the female part, below the straight edge of the flap. After top stitching, you're now going to position and sew the rough side, which is the male part, based on where the flap naturally falls. And then if you are a plastic snap lover, yeah, you'll be installing those right at the end, which is what I'm doing right now. But whatever you choose, make sure it's secure. The gadget is going to thank you later. So first things first, I am going to be installing the male parts of my plastic snaps on the flap. You can decide to install this in the middle, or I love to use two on a flap that is as wide as this. Now that I've finished with the nail snap, I'm using the nail snap to get the perfect position for the female part. So this is where I will now bring my laptop out as soon as I've gotten the position I want. And then I'll install the female snap. And that's it. Your sleek tech sleeve is ready to go. Slip your laptop, tablet, or even your phone in there and you're all set. It's stylish, it's functional, and most importantly, it is handmade by you. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another sewing adventure. Share your creations on Instagram and tag me. As you know, I love seeing what you make. Until next time, happy sewing, stay creative, and bye for now.